All right, today we are diving into a system called ManakaRoyal. Now, this is a tool that makes a pretty huge promise to help you generate passive income from digital products with supposedly just a few clicks. It's a really bold claim, so we're going to break down exactly how it's supposed to work, what you get, and really get to the bottom of it all.
So right out of the gate, they hit you with this truth bomb. The whole idea is that you, a regular person, can start earning royalties while the software does all the heavy lifting. I mean, it's a super powerful hook, right? It's designed to grab anyone who's ever dreamed of passive income but got totally stuck on how to actually start.
So, what's the actual problem this thing is trying to solve? Well, it's that huge, frustrating gap between having a great idea for passive income and the reality of making it happen. So many would-be creators just slam into this wall of technical problems, design struggles, and what feels like endless formatting. And to really drive this home, the source material introduces us to a guy named Ike Paz. He talks about hitting a tech wall and feeling like he was just drowning in complexity. His dream of passive income was basically turning into a second full-time, high-stress job. And his story is really meant to connect with anyone who's ever been in that boat. And this, right here, this really lays it all out, doesn't it? This slide shows the exact conflict they're positioning themselves against. On the left, you've got the old way, this messy, complicated juggle between a bunch of different tools. And then on the right, you have their best way. One button, and you're done. That's the core sales pitch in a nutshell.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what about this so-called push-button solution? Let's take a look at the actual tool at the heart of all this.
So the tool itself is called ManakaRoyalty. It's cloud-based, which just means there's nothing to install, you use it in your browser. Its main job is to automate the whole process of creating things like puzzle books and activity books. And you can tell right away who they're aiming for. Complete beginners, people with zero design or tech experience. You know, a really clever part of their pitch is how they frame the value based on all the stuff you get to avoid. The claim is you can just forget about writing complex AI prompts, you don't need API keys, you don't even need a design tool like Canva. It's sold as this all-in-one platform that just gets rid of all the usual headaches.
But, okay, how does any of this actually work when you sit down to use it? Well, according to the source, it all boils down to a super simple 3-step method.
And here they are. Step 1, create. Step 2, upload. Step 3, earn. The messaging is all about making it sound incredibly easy, but you really got to pay attention to Step 2, upload to free buyer traffic sites. That's a huge piece of the puzzle, and a really critical claim that the marketing material kind of glides over. Now, a simple process sounds great, but the million-dollar question is, does it actually work? Is this a true method that gets results? This is where we have to really dig in and look at the evidence that's presented.
Right. So what have they got for us? What's the proof?
The first thing they roll out is a case study about a user named Amulia. The story is positioned to show how she, as a non-native English speaker, was able to overcome all these technical and language hurdles to find success. It's a really compelling story, but it's important to remember it's a single, unverified anecdote.
And then, after that one story, they make this much broader claim. They say they have real testimonials from real members who are all getting these hands-free royalties. Now, that's a pretty standard marketing tactic, but without being able to see those testimonials or any verifiable data, it really just stays a claim.
You know, one really interesting part of their argument is that this whole system isn't just tied to Amazon. The source claims that the books you make can be sold on other platforms like Etsy, Lulu, and Creative Market, and that suggests a much broader strategy. But of course, each of those platforms has its own rules, its own audience, which is a whole other thing to think about.
So let's pop the hood and see what's actually inside this thing. What are the specific tools and features that are supposed to make all of this possible?
First up, you've got the core puzzle creators, and we're talking about the big ones, the classics that you know have a built-in audience. Things like crosswords, word searches, Sudoku, all the fan favorites.
But that's not all. On top of those core 6, they say the system includes 5 bonus puzzle generators. These are meant to add a little more variety, letting you create things like math puzzles, alphabet puzzles, and even a few different kinds of mazes.
Now, they really make a point to highlight this one feature, a built-in book cover creator. Anyone who's ever tried to self-publish knows designing a cover that actually looks good and gets clicks can be a total nightmare. So the claim here is that this tool solves that massive pain point for you. And then we get to this classic marketing technique. It's called value stacking. They take every single component of the system,
from the puzzle creators themselves to the training videos, and they assign a specific dollar value to each one. It's all about building up a case for the total worth of the package.
And when you add up all those individual values they've assigned, you get to this grand total of over $4,000. This number becomes the anchor, the reference point for their entire sales pitch and pricing.
So when you look at all of this, ManakaRoyal is painting this really attractive picture, right? Push a button, get passive income. But it brings up a much, much bigger question for all of us as creators. When a tool promises to handle everything from the actual content to the cover design, where does our unique value even come in? Is it just the idea, the marketing? It's something to think about, and it's probably the biggest takeaway from looking at systems like this one. Thanks for tuning in.